In this video, I'm going to show you 2 call booked flows for anybody who is using Calendly in order to book sales calls for their teams. So the first one's going to be on disco calls and the next one's going to be on demo calls. So I'm going to pull up a Calendly on the side and basically run these and show you what works and why things are working in the way that they're working. And I'm going to go in and explain each individual module so that each individual action that's happening right now gets explained, because it looks a bit more complicated than it needs to look. But I've put in a ton of contingencies in here and you'll see what they all mean as I build this up from scratch. So I have a couple of Calendly booking pages here, which is my own quick chat one, which is on my landing page. So if I go here and scroll all the way down, you'll be able to see exactly what that is. It's the exact same calendar, this one here. So I'm just going to book in a couple of times, write my information here, and then show you what happens for each individual stage. Cool. So I filled up both of them. One of which is someone that is not existing in our CRM, and one that is actually existing in our CRM. So if I quickly go in and I click on run once and then show you what happens, you'll see exactly what occurs. So scheduling the event, and then here you can see everything has gone down this path. So what's actually happened here? So watching events, the event is a disco call. It's a live call, which is searching for a lead, and then it's searching for an email inside of Smart Lead. And then from there, it's found out that this individual is not inside of Close, and the person is also not inside of Smart Lead, which means it was an inbound call that is booked from a new person. So a couple Slack messages were created, a lead was created, and an opportunity was created. And we can see inside of here, Anton Ferdinand just booked a call with us. And the source here, I'll go on to explain, but there are no UTM parameters on here. So the UTM source would be here, which will give people an idea as to where the leads are even coming from. Then there's the start time, which is 11 a.m., 9th of August, question and answers in thread. And then everything that I answered as far as the questions and answers can be seen inside of here. Great. So that's what's happened inside of Slack. Let's see what's happened inside of leads. Well, if we go down, let me refresh the page, in fact. We can see that Anton Ferdinand has now appeared inside of our leads. So we have the person there. We now need to find inside of the pipeline where the individual is. And you can see right here that call booked, you've got the name, you've got the email, and you've got the phone number of the individual inside of the pipeline stage. That individual has been basically placed inside of the pipeline. Cool. So that is person number 1. Let's now look at person number 2. So we have Joe James here. Let's schedule the event and see what happens. So in this situation, we have, if we look inside again, we have disco call. Individual was looking for the individual, made the request to Smart Lead. We actually found them and closed this time. Again, they are inbound, so they're not outbound, which means that we didn't find this individual inside of our Smart Lead campaigns. And then it's created the messages, it's updated the lead, searched for the opportunity, and then placed them in the same part of the pipeline, which is right here. So we have this person here now. And if we go into calls, we can see that so-and-so just booked a call with us, Joe James. And it's got all of the information that we put down. All right, so very, very simple, very easy understanding of like what this is doing. But what about the other contingencies? What happens when someone cancels? What happens when someone reschedules? So I'm going to show you what that looks like now. Okay, so I've just grabbed the reschedule link from my calendar. So I'm going to click run once. And then I'm going to pick another time. So we have in here, 11 a.m. is the formal time for this one. So we're going to click 12 p.m. I'm going to put in a random reason for change, and I'm going to update the event and see what happens. So we can see, if we zoom in, that the individual is rescheduled and then a message has been created. So if I go into Slack right now, what we'll see is under the messages, so-and-so just rescheduled their discovery call with us. New meeting details will appear below this message. New discovery call. So-and-so just booked a call with us and it's booked in with this new time. So if I back out, you can see that 2 things were sent in, basically 2 seconds, within 2 seconds of each other. So we have the previous one, which was the message that went down here. And then we have another one, which is this live call down here, which has gone in and just created the exact same pathway that we had beforehand, which is why we had this person rescheduling their discovery call with us. They already exist inside of our CRM, which is why they have gone down this path. And we can basically tell them that, yes, this has been rescheduled and this is what's going to come through inside of Slack. Great. So what about if someone cancels? All right. So let me show you two different types of cancels. There's an invitee cancel and then there's a host cancellation. And these two things can create two different things inside of our CRM if we do it in the way that we have basically shown inside of this diagram. So I'm basically about to pull up two different ways of canceling the individual appointment. All right, so if I go into the calendar and I basically go in and click on the cancel event button, then it will come up with cancel event, reason for canceling, and then the individual invitee will describe the reason why they do not want to take the call on with you again. So if I just type this in or click cancel event, cancellation confirmed, we can see now that and the flow has basically taken it down this one here, which has said cancelled, and has gone down the invitee cancellation route. And it has said the call with Joe James was cancelled. Reason for cancellation was what I put in. Channel, reach back out and reconnect. Which means this individual person cancelled on their behalf. We did not cancel on our own behalf. So what that then does is it then goes in and searches for the lead inside of close. And then once found, searches the opportunities and updates the opportunity. So we should now see inside of the opportunities a cancellation, which is right over here. So we have Joe James here who's just been cancelled. Let me just quickly refresh the page just to confirm that that was the individual. Yes, it was. And then I'm going to show you what happens when the host cancels the event. So if you go into Calendly and then you go into meetings and then you go here and then you click in and then you click on cancel. Before I actually cancel it, I'm going to click on the disco call button again. So I'm just going to run once. And then if I go back in here, I don't need to add a message. I'll just go down here, click cancel. And then what it will do is it will take it down the host cancellation side. And that is going to take Anton Ferdinand and place inside of our Slack channel. The call was cancelled. This was cancelled by us, so no further action needed. And then what's happened is Anton Ferdinand has moved to cancelled. And if we look at the leads for each individual one, if an individual is cancelled on the host side, the status here is also set to cancelled, as well as the pipeline stage. And if the individual here was cancelled by the invitee, then it's still a potential, but it's been placed into cancelled inside of our side of the pipeline. So this kind of describes all of the things and all of the contingencies that are happening inside of the discovery call calendar. So what I'm going to do, because there is a fair amount of explanation with regards to why things are set out in that way, what I'm going to do is pull up something real quickly, which is just going to describe the general idea as to why things are set out in the way that they're set out. Okay, let's talk a little bit about call booked flows. So me and my business partner helped scale a coaching program sales team from 4 calls booked a month to 73 calls booked in the highest month within 60 days. Now I build sales and fulfillment systems for productized businesses. So in this document, what I'm going to do is show you a couple of very basic automations that help keep the sales pipeline ticking along without much data error. This isn't for you if your sales team does, $800K a month, upwards of $1 million a month, along those lines. This probably won't do anything to lift sales directly, and you probably already have something like this already put in place. But this is for you if you're doing anything less than that. And if you have a couple of closers or AEs who are taking calls for you, or maybe you're just doing calls yourself, you'll definitely get a small lift from the automations alone. A small lift. The biggest lift, however, will come from a more comprehensive system, a system which I like to say comes from enforced directives. So sales processes in and of themselves are nothing without these. So here's the thing. When we talk about sales automations, they are mostly top-down processes and they'll work 10 out of 10 times. But only when the SOPs are in place around the automations and the systems that are in place and are actively enforced. So to understand the two automations, the disco call and the demo call booked automations that I'm going to show you, you need to understand the nature of an inside sales team in and of itself. And then you also need to understand the system that these automations will sit in. And I'll cover both. So unlike a fulfillment team, if you talk about a sales team, sales reps in and of themselves as individuals are way more renegade gunslinger type individuals than any member of any other team in any business department. 90% of all of their brain capacity goes on closing individuals, so they don't really think when they're not on calls themselves. They also suck with technology. Like, they're just not good at computers for the most part, and also not the most adaptive to change. And then to add to this, there's also a lot of unnecessary bureaucracy involved between salespeople and sales leaders themselves, because the sales leader's responsibility is to manage and develop their reps first and foremost, but they need to know their numbers to be able to do this, and these numbers need to be given to them by their sales reps. So to calculate offer rates, show rates, DQ rates, close rates, they need to know how many calls were booked. They need to know how many people showed up. They need to know who was a DQ for money purposes, who was a continuation, who was an advancement, all of that good stuff. And the sales leaders need to get that from the sales reps, because the sales reps are the people who are on these calls. Getting these numbers from their reps, however, is like drawing blood from a stone. Reps absolutely hate filling out end of day forms because they're basically just repeating themselves, and each call takes about 10 minutes to write about. So, and I've seen some of these type forms. It's, 5 questions. How many calls did you have on your calendar today? How many attended? How many were qualified? How many were continuations? How many advanced? How many are, short-term / long-term nurture, which would be the continuations? How many did you book a demo call with? And then after that is list out all of the notes for all of the individuals so that I can get a brief overview of what happened today. And then it's like first name, last name, has this problem and these goals, looking to get this. This is probably a good idea. I think we'll close 20% confidence. So and so, these goals, these dreams, these problems, confidence 10%. And they'll be doing that for every single call that they have. And that takes a long time to write. So there's a constant battle between the sales manager, who needs his numbers or their numbers, and the sales rep, who can't be asked to fill out the type form at the end of the day. So to summarize, they're crap with tech, the sales reps are. They stick to what they know. They don't like change. The reps and the managers themselves are at odds with each other around data collection. The managers need up-to-date numbers, but they can't get these up-to-date numbers or pass the information that they receive unless it's handed to them in a custom manner, which means making their lives easier at the expense of their sales reps' lives. So basically, one person, party A, wants something from party B, and party B is not always willing to provide it. Automation alone cannot solve this problem. It just can't. But automation, effective CRM structures, and mandated activity does. You need all three. You have to build the CRM to be useful for all parties, tell people how they should use it, and then automate it. The simpler the systems are and the less bureaucracy is involved, the more adhesive the system will be. The simpler the systems, the better. So if you give closers or AEs too many places to watch and manage data, like you've got them clicking Slack buttons because you're making some crazy stuff in Slack, and you've also got them updating the pipeline in the CRM and the notes somewhere else and something somewhere else as well, then they're just going to resort to the path of least resistance and ignore your SOPs altogether, or at least complain all day about them. So the system that I'm going to show you, which are the systems that these automations live in, are set up so that there are minimal moving parts, and there are really 3/4 different types of tech that are involved in this whole situation. 1, Calendly, which is where all the calls getting booked from. 2, Slack. 3, Close. And 4 in our case here is Smartly, because we're delineating between outbound and inbound. Whatever your, email sending provider is, or if you're using, Expandy or Dripify or any other type of outbound from another type of platform, all of that information will go into the CRM, because it will be used to find the information in the same way that I showed you beforehand. So let's take a peek. I'm going to show you the system. Now, this system in and of itself looks more complicated than it is, but it's basically just a sales process, and the sales process is contingent on a few things happening at the start, i.e. sales calls being booked, and a few things happening at the end, the contracts being signed. Everything else in the middle is what I'm going to cover here. So this whole thing here is a swim lane, and these 4 swim lanes depict 4 things. We have SDRs/setters, closer/AE, automations, and if we go all the way up to the top, we have all SDRs. So all SDRs, just to understand why all SDRs and then SDR is underneath this, all of these little red buttons here, you can see what they all say: stale lead, stale lead, stale lead. So these will all get added to a free-for-all bucket. And whoever is available, whoever wants commission, they can hit this bucket all day, all night with different calls and emails and texts and whatever have you kind of touch points to re-engage different leads. Every one of these red buttons basically takes them to this column here, and the individual gets engaged, and engaging the lead actually takes them all the way down here. So once they're engaged, they get added to the workflows and the sequences again, and then they get manually booked into the calls. So this whole aspect here is just the setter's job. It's just finding the leads or having the leads received to them by opt-ins from VSLs and webinars and all kinds of good stuff. And then sifting through these leads and these lists of contacts, getting, event attendees out, cold prospects out, individuals from their own, prospecting ideas, etc. Then you got warm prospects, all of that good stuff. They all get added to workflows and sequences. And then when someone is ready, they are manually booked in using the individual setter's Calendly link. And that triggers, if we go all the way back down, that triggers the disco call booking flow, which is the very first flow. So a lead is added to the meeting booked pipeline, then the Slack message is sent, then a Calendly confirmation email was sent from Calendly itself, and then Calendly's follow-ups will continue. At that point, there is either a reschedule or there is a cancellation, or it goes up here because the call is taken. Let's assume that the call is cancelled. If the call is cancelled, then the opportunity moves to the cancelled part of the pipeline, which I showed you beforehand. And if the call was cancelled by the invitee, then they get added to a call cancelled smart list and sequence until they rebook. And if they're not and they're cancelled by the host, then the lead status is also changed to cancelled, and they are therefore not added to any smart lists. So let me just zoom out real quickly. If we go back into the example from the first side, we had Anton Ferdinand here, who was the host cancellation, and then we had Joe James here, who was the invitee cancellation. You can see that the invitee cancellation, if we go into the opportunities, they're both at the far left side under cancelled. They've both been cancelled, but if you look at the leads, the statuses are different. Anton, his status is cancelled, but Joe James' status is potential because Joe James himself cancelled this one, so there's still a potential to re-engage them. We cancelled Anton Ferdinand, which means that the cancelled status sticks so that we don't reach back out to this guy again because, we don't need to, or they're closed lost for a particular reason. Potential plus cancelled is a smart view. Cancelled plus cancelled is not a smart view. So that's kind of where the delineation occurs. So if I've done this so many times, that's how you know how many times I've done this without and gotten it wrong. All right, so that happens whenever someone is a invitee cancellation, it goes that way, and if they are a cancellation upon the host, it goes that way. So if they rebook, it gets added straight back in here again, and then everything goes in this manner. So this is what happens when a call is booked. Let's say if we go all the way back up to the closer part of the pipeline, which is this, if we can zoom all the way back in, let's say on the day the closer themselves sends a confirmation message manually on the day of the meeting saying, hey, can't wait to meet you, just making sure that you're going to turn up. Then he or her takes the meeting, then they upload the notes to close, and then we have all of the things that could happen. Now, all of the things that could happen are all manual actions for the most part. The one action which I want to draw your attention to is advance. So advance is basically what happens when someone is, you get to the end of a call, you find out that they are qualified, but you don't have enough time to close them on this call yet. So you book in another call, and that is the demo call, and that takes them all the way down here to where the team is notified via Slack. And this is the second automation which I'm going to show, which is basically an almost carbon copy of the disco call flow, but a little bit simpler because we're not doing anything that's happening in here. We're not changing them in the pipeline, and Calendly confirmation emails and follow-ups will also be sent for the demo call. But again, that is something that doesn't happen on any manual basis. So this is the entire system as far as what these two automations, automation 1 and automation 2, are going to do. So let's get into the build. Okay, so let's remember that we are creating this automation here, which is all of this. and we're creating this automation here, which is this. These last two, if I zoom out, these last two, this here is just a contract flow, which is a sales activation flow that can be activated by custom activities, which are, let's say if I go inside of a lead, I can go into activity and then create, send a contract like this and then fill this out. This is outside of the scope of this video, but I will explain this and how to create a contract automatically just through this and send it off to a prospect with all of the information from the individual lead. And this part here is the onboarding flow, and I already have this video down, so I should be able to, if you search my channel, it's actually one of the more viewed videos on the channel. Actually, I think it's the only one that has an actual thumbnail. So we're not going to cover this, but we are going to cover this, and we are going to cover this. So let's go into a fresh automation and call it discovery call booked, and then we'll just call it test. And the first thing that we want is Calendly. So if I type in Calendly, and for the reason why we're using Calendly is because of, Calendly is basically just the most well-known one. And have I experimented with others? Yes, I have. I've tried cal.com, Savvy, and I know about SavvyCal. I know about another one called iClosed. iClosed is probably one of the ones that are the most interesting that I'm going to have a look into a little bit deeper. But considering my whole stack is based on Calendly, I'm using Calendly as an example. It's also the most well-known as well. So instead of choosing a hook, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a hook, and I'm going to show you what goes into adding a hook. So we're going to call this one Disco Call Icarus Growth Test. And we're going to change the connection to, where am I? Icarus Growth. So if you don't have a connection, you would just click here, My Calendly connection. You would just change it to whatever the name is of your account, and then you would log in by clicking the save, and it will just take you to the Calendly page. You'd log in, and it will say, Make wants to use Calendly, give it permissions, and then you give it permissions, and it'll come up with the connection name here. Cool. So that would give you the connection. You have the webhook name here. We then want to add the events, and we want to add both events, invitee created and invitee cancelled. We want to we want to select the organization URI from the list. This is just going to give you the api.calendly.com for the whole organization. And then for a user, we just want to click me. I'm the only one using this right now. My assumption is when you have a Calendly account, which is a group, like a round robin, you can click that under here under user URI. And that will give us it will just give us all of the individuals. And if an individual is part of a round robin, you'll be able to trigger this webhook based on the other round robin, based on the other people that come from the round robin. So we'll just keep it at this and then click on save. And then this is going to give us our Disco Call test webhook. And this webhook works basically the same way that this webhook works. The only difference is you can't do any type of action from this kind of webhook. This is a Calendly specific webhook. So this is the only reason why that comes out that way. So cool, we have our events. We now want to add a router that goes in 3 different ways. So I'm going to add that. The first way is going to be live call. The second one is going to be cancellation. And the third one is going to be reschedule. And this one here is also going to have another router, which we will leave just like that. Now, what I'm actually going to do is send some information to this webhook. So I'm actually going to open up my Calendly and just create another event. I should know what it is now. I think it's like Icarus Growth Systems quick chat. I'm just going to go in here and then just press that button there. And then I am going to create a time. I'm just going to book any kind of time in. So, all right. So we have a bunch of stuff here, and then we are going to run this once and then click on booking. So this is going to trigger the other automation, but I just want to send the information over to this automation so that we can play around with all of this data. So the data that we're going to need to basically start off this entire thing is this email. We're going to need a name. We're going to need the questions and answers that came from the Calendly in and of itself. We're going to need the status. We're going to need rescheduled. And I think there's scheduled event. There's going to be like another one that comes out whenever someone cancels, which we're also going to need as well. So we have the information that we need for this automation here. And also, because I didn't cover this here, what I'm going to do is show you exactly what creating these looks like and the ones that you want to have. So the ones that you kind of want to have are the 4 that are up right here. So we have quick chat lead generation. The only difference between these is that this one has, if we go into the booking page options, we have these 3 questions in it. We have, what's your website? Describe what your current biggest bottlenecks are. Do you have the means to pay a minimum of $500 to solve this current problem? This is just a set of questions that need to be put on the form so that we can determine if someone is qualified or not. The quick chat lead generation is the outbound version of that, which actually shouldn't have any of these. So I'm actually going to remove these right now. So I'm going to remove this one and I'm going to remove this one and I'm going to remove text message. Well, I'll do that in a second. So basically the whole idea is that one is a outbound calendar and the other one is an inbound calendar. The outbound calendar, you often won't have all of the information that you would need because you're not going to have a back and forth conversation. You just want to get them on the call. So you just want to push them to book a call in the middle of your messaging, which means if there is any kind of back and forth that people are trying to do, you just want to tell them, get lost, book a call, or like, so that we can talk about this on, in more detail. So that's number 2. And then number 3, a demo call, which is the discovery call part 2, which is the call that you're going to need if you need to do a second call in order to get your stuff sorted, or the call that you would book in if you'd run out of time on the first call to do something that you would ordinarily do in one call. So if you run a 1 call close, but you need a second call to finish your 1 call close, you would book in a demo call. If you run a 2 call close, i.e. you're an email marketing agency, or like me, an automations and AI agency who builds sales and fulfillment systems, and you need to determine the full scope by basically giving them homework and then telling them, or running homework on your own side, like an audit, and then saying, all right, I'm going to come back to this call in 5 days with the homework that I've done, and then we'll talk about the full scope of the thing that we need to build. If you're in that situation, then you would need to book the demo call in again for that particular use case. And then the third one will just be the onboarding call. But again, you would just go in, create an event, and the event type would be one-on-one, and then you would say the host is going to be, myself or whoever it would be, and then you would name the event, add the duration, pick the location, and just continue with the rest of the stuff that would have come through, which you can see on this page here. Just add your questions, add your schedules, and then add communications and all that good stuff. So that's just how you make Calendly events. I don't need to go too in depth with that because it is pretty straightforward. And just so that you know as well, because we did cover it here, Calendly confirmation email sent and Calendly follow-ups which continue, those are done inside of Calendly themselves. So if you go into workflows and you take a look at the individual workflows that I have set up, it's just text confirmations, confirmation emails, 4-hour reminder, 24-hour reminder, and they apply to all of the calls that are sales calls, if you can see here. And it's just whenever it's 24 hours before the start of the event, you send an email. An hour before the event, you send a text to the invitee. I need to actually change the name of that. Immediately when the event starts, you send a text. Immediately when the event is booked, you send a text. All that kind of stuff, basically. So that is what all of the previous flows, which we covered here, are. So the Calendly confirmation email sent and the follow-ups, that's what goes on here. All of that is done in Calendly. None of that is done in Make. So let's get back to the automation as we're making it. Okay, so now we need to run a search for the leads inside of Close. So if we go into here, let's get our CRM out and let's click on search leads. Let's pick the connection. If you don't have a connection already, just click here, change the name, and then get your API key from your Close CRM inside of the settings, and then you can start using it with Make. We want to ignore basically everything apart from the limit and the filtering query. So the limit is set to 1, and the filtering query will be what we get from Close in and of itself. So if I go to app.close.com/leads and then I end up in the leads tab, what I can do is add my filters, and the filter that I want is leads where any text contains an email. So I'll put a placeholder email in here right now, click on done, and then what this has done is it set some filters here where it's only going to find the leads matching all of the all of these, filter requirements where the email is this. So what we want to do is we actually want to click on more and then copy the filters and then go back into make and then go into the filtering query and paste it. Now you can see here inside of this, it's just a massive string of JSON, which has, limit, query, negate, queries, this, that, and the other. We want to basically ignore all of that and then go to where the value is, where we put the email, remove that, and then find the email from the watch events event that happened on the first step of this whole automation and click email as the merge field for it. So now whenever a call occurs, the first thing it will do is it will check close to see if that lead exists. So we can click OK on that. And then the next thing that we want to do is we want to do a HTTP request to our software, which is sending our cold emails. And that is SmartLead. So if you go into SmartLead, if you have an account, you would log in, go to app.smartlead.ai, go into your settings and profiles, and under your profiles, you'd find your API key. We're going to copy this because we're going to need this inside of this URL here. So I'm just going to paste this URL in here, and then I'm going to go and look up the SmartLead API documentation, which I've visited a million times. I even have it bookmarked. And then we basically want to just do one thing, which is fetch the lead by email. So if I type in fetch, we can fetch lead by email address. And all we want is this request. So you can see that it's asking for server.smartlead.ai / this, that, and the other. API key equals what we just put in, and the email equals the email field. So if I just click on the copy button here, and I go back into make, and then I go into the URL, paste it in, remove the curl. We now have the HTTPS server.smartlead.ai API v1 leads $API key equals $ API key. So this is where all of this malarkey is going to go in here. So this is the API key that we have. And then we want our email, and our email is going to be the merge field for the email that came out of the Calendly link when the call was booked. And it's a get request, and that's all that we would need. So if we just go in and put the header type as content type application /JSON, this should be complete. So if I click on OK, and then I run the module by itself and then put in any email that I want, let's say I just put in shane@leehawks.co.uk. If I click go, it gives me a status code 200, and this is the data. So that we can use the data, we need to click on pass response at the bottom. So if I run that again and then show my email, it will tell me that this individual is present inside of a campaign, which is somewhere around here. Where's the campaign gone? So lead campaign data. Click inside of here. We have a campaign ID, client email, campaign name. So this is the campaign that this individual was part of. If this information pops up, then it means that they are present inside of a campaign, and the meeting was most likely booked because the meeting was most likely booked from the individual responses that were coming out of this campaign. Cool. So we are now correctly searching for the leads, and we're now correctly searching for the email. So if I click rename, fetch email by address, we can keep those two there. So let me save that now. And then what we're going to do is we're going to build out this entire flow up here, because we now have two junctions. So we have if they were found in close or not found in close, and then if they were outbound or inbound. So if we pick one, then let's say search A, which is close CRM, find the leads, found, not found. Within this, we're going to have another set, which is inbound, outbound. Within this plane, we're going to have the same thing happening again. So we basically need to create those two things there. And that comes from adding another router. So we're going to add another router. And this first router is going to be for close CRM. And it's going to, if we collapse all of this, we did the search leads function. We want to click in here, go into total number of bundles and say equal to 0 for the leads that were not found in CRM. And then I'll just copy this data over and then set up the filter, paste it in again. And I'm going to put the opposite, which is not equal to 0. And this will be lead found in CRM. So now we have our two branches. So if I, for example, was messaging someone inside of Smart Lead and they said, yeah, sure, what time works? And then I just booked them in on a time. The moment I've booked them in on my time, the Calendly webhook will strike. It will say that it's a live call. It will find the individual lead. The lead doesn't exist inside a close just yet, so it will find the lead, fetch the email, and then once the email has been fetched, since it has picked up the fact that someone was present inside of my Smart Lead campaign, it will go down one of these. It will usually go down the not found in the CRM lead section because it's not in the CRM. But then the next router, which is going to be, you know, somewhere along here, is going to be outbound versus inbound. They were outbound, they'll go down this lane here. So that's kind of what we're trying to build out. All right, so not found in CRM, leads found in CRM. Let's build out the rest of the automation. So the rest of the automation is the creation of the messaging. On this plane, at least, is the creation of the messages, creation of the lead, and then creation of the opportunity. There is nothing to be searched because nothing exists when it goes down this plane, because the lead is not found in the CRM at all. So everything comes from the lead downwards. So contacts and opportunities sit below leads. Leads control where everything else goes, basically. So what we need to do is we need to create the lead, and then since we haven't created the lead, we create the opportunity once the lead has also been created as well. So if I go in here and create my second set of filters, which are going to be based on the fetch email by email address, it is a filter that I'll just make outbound and click OK, and then inbound and then click OK. And then I'll quickly create a couple Slack messages. So the Slack message that we want is the Slack message that says new discovery call booked. So I'm going to click on my bot. If you don't have a bot, all you do is click here, go Slack bot, give it a name, click here, and then it will ask you for the certain permissions. Once you've added the permissions that it's asking for, it will then pop up with a channel name or ID. What you will then need to do is go into the channel and then tag the bot that you have just created, and then add it to that channel so that it can use that channel. So calls bot has already been added. So if I open up my Slack inside of my browser, I can show you what it looks like. It's just tag at Integramat, and then Integramat was added to this channel by me. So we want this message to come out. We want new discovery call, so-and-so from so-and-so just booked the call. The source is this, the start time is this, questionnaire answers in thread. And then when you click on the questionnaire answers, you get, what is your website? It's this. Please describe your current biggest bottlenecks. Do you have the means pay minimum? So we need to recreate this message. So I'm just going to copy and paste the message as is and then format it using the way that it needs to be formatted in here. So the channel / ID or name that we want is a private channel, and this private channel is called calls. So you would need to create whatever the channel is for your particular sake. And then I'm going to paste the text in here. So we have at channel new discovery call, so-and-so from so-and-so just booked a something with us. Source is this questionnaire answers in thread. So let me just tidy this up. So we want the start time, we want the source, we want the individual here, and then we also want to change this and turn this into a bunch of dynamic fields. So this isn't going to work, so we're going to turn this into the requisite format, which is arrow bracket, exclamation mark, channel, arrow bracket, new discovery call. And then if I put colon, I'll put eyes there as well, just as an emoji, just to make it colorful. And then I'm also going to put this in bold. And then we want the name of the individual, and we want where they came from. So-and-so just booked a call with us. So I want the name, and the name of the individual is, we'll just take it from Calendly. So if I go in here and click name, and then name from company, just booked a call with us. So this is the part where we can do one of two things. We can either use the request, since this came from the outbound channel, to find the company name in the website, or we can map whatever our questions are from the Calendly. Since this is the outbound method, I'm going to click here and simply just click on company name, and in fact, I think it's the wrong way around. I think it's website first and then company name. So website and then company name. And this is just how things are formatted inside of Slack whenever you're using the API. And if you just type in Slack Zapier formatting, you can get a really, really good guide for this, which is applicable to Make as well. So you can see bold is here, italic is here, strike through is here, codes and block quotes. If you want lists, you can do it like this. If you want links, it's the link, and then it's the name for the link text. So this is how you would hyperlink. And then emojis look like that, and then mentions, it's at user ID, question, exclamation mark everyone, exclamation mark here, exclamation mark channel, etc, etc, etc. So that's how you would just do all of that. So new discovery call, name from place, just booked a call with us. The source is the campaign from the smart lead. So what we're going to do is go into lead campaign data ID and then go into campaign name. And the start time is the start time, which is taken from Calendly. So if I type in start time, it'll give me this. Questionnaire answers in thread. Great. So we have all of that now. Let's now make the actual message look pretty. So we'll link the names. We'll open the advanced settings. We'll link the names. We will not unfurl any content. We'll use Markdown. And then we'll add some icon emojis. So if we go to emojibase.dev, and then we look for the shortcodes. We just want the Slack shortcodes just to make things look good. So if I untick all of these and now I have Slack, we can now give it a little bot icon. We'll give it the hourglass and we'll call it new disco call booked. And I click OK. So that is the initial message. And whenever the individual comes from Smart Lead and they are an outbound prospect, this message will be created. Now we want to put the thread messages in, and those thread messages will look like another message that gets created. And then this message is again from the same list. So we'll click on private channel, and then from private channel here, we'll put calls down. And then we just want a list of every single question that came from the questions and answers part of the Calendly. So if I just type in questions and answers up here, you can see we have answer, position, and question. When I put question, it gives us the array. So this is just going to give us all of the questions if I just leave it like this. If I click answer, it will just give us all of those. If I want to specify a particular position, all I would need to do is put a number inside of here. So it's going to ask for question number 1, answer, gap. Question number 2, answer, gap. And then we'll just run it like this, like this, like this, until we get all of the questions that we have. We only have 3 questions, so we're only going to type it in for 1, 2, and 3. So we got 1 here, we got 2 here, and we got 3 here. So this is the message that's going to be in the thread, and these are going to be all of the questions and answers that we can just see from the Slack channel in and of itself. So then we want to show the advanced settings, and we want to add a thread message ID, which is the timestamp of the previous message. So we add the timestamp here on the show advanced settings. We don't broadcast a message. We don't need to link any names or do anything like that. And then we can just type in questions and answers under the username and the icon emoji. If we want the icon emoji, let's look for the scroll. So we've got the scroll here. We'll take that and then stick it into the icon emoji and then click OK. So now whenever a new lead, which is present inside of the CRM, is not present inside of the CRM, but is present inside of Smart Lead, books a call, it will show the message that says so-and-so booked a call with us. This is their information from the Calendly. So yeah, that is everything on this side of the automation. Almost done. We now need to create a person in the CRM, and we then need to create an opportunity inside of the CRM. All right, so let's create the lead, and in doing so, we follow a particular naming system. So if you go into the leads, and you can see, even from here, it's first name, last name, company name, email, and if we have it, phone number. First name, last name, email, phone number, first name, last name, so on and so on and so on. So we have all of that there. So what we're going to do is go back into the scenario and just copy that out based on the information that we have. And the information that we have comes from a combination of Calendly and from the Smart Lead campaign in and of itself. So I'm going to get the name from Calendly. Then I'm going to get the company name from Smart Lead. Then I'm going to get the email and phone number from the Calendly as well. So if I type in email up here, we'll get that here. And if I type in phone, in fact, I even typed in the wrong email. I got the wrong email address out. So if I go here, we'll go back in here, click on email, give me the email of the Calendly event invitee, and then take the phone number. I believe it's called like text reminder cell or something along those lines inside of the Calendly. Text reminder number right here. So this is the phone number that we want. Description we'll leave alone. URL we'll leave alone. Status ID is the status of the lead. That one is potential. Now we need to add contacts. So the contact is going to be the individual from the Calendly. So if we type in their name, this is their name. If we type in their title, this title we can actually grab as the job title from the lead campaign data. So if we have the information from here, we can put it in. If we don't, then we would need to find it. So it's basically up to you if you want to put it in there or not. If the job, it should be in one of the custom fields. Usually, I don't think it comes in as a field that you just have, because some people don't always send to people who have job titles. But in this situation, because I took this individual from a test campaign, I don't think their job title actually shows. So we can leave that alone. And then we just want to add the emails. And the email that we want is we'll just click office and then type their email in, and their email will come from the Calendly step, which is this one here. And then for phones, we want mobile, and then the phone number is the text reminder one. So we'll click text reminder number and then click that in here. And then that will give us this basically completely built out. Now for things like source and for things like description, you can write things in here that would be, for example, like what the biggest bottleneck, maybe the answers to a couple of the questions that came through when the initial Calendly was filled out. But I'm just going to leave this blank because this is the outbound version. So we click on OK and leave that alone. Now what we're going to want is a opportunity. So we're going to create an opportunity from scratch, and it's going to be based on it's going to be attached to the lead ID from the previous step. So we turn on map on lead ID here. And under create a lead, we can click on lead ID so that we can get them there. And then the status is going to be call booked, because this is the disco call booked link. Now the value is a projected value based on the individual and what you're selling in general. So if you want to put $1,000 here, you'd add 2 more zeros because this is in cents or pennies or whatever your currency is set to. And if you do one-time monthlies or annuals, you would set it to whatever it is. So let's say, for example, you're doing 1K per month for local business lead generation via Facebook ads. Great. So it would look like that. 100K in value because this is in cents, and the value period would be monthly. And then everything else you can leave alone. And that is the creation of the entire flow from the top, on the top part. Very, very simple side to this flow. So if we run this, we can show you what this looks like. And for confidence, I'm just going to put something in here like 10 because it needs to be lower than or equal to 100. So I'll save this, realign, and then we will create another test. Okay, so we have some information here, information that is actually present in Smart Lead, but is not present inside of Close. So if we click run once on here, and then we schedule the event, we should get it going through this flow, searching for the lead does not exist. And it's gone through here. It's an outbound lead and it has sent the message. So let's have a look at what the message says. The message says this. So obviously it's going to come up twice because I already have one going for the exact same thing for my active version. So we can see it says new discovery call. Shenjamin from Adore just booked a call with us. This is the name of the lead. This is the name of the company name that was actually put inside of our lead list anyway. So we have that there. So-and-so from so-and-so just booked a call with us. In fact, I'm looking at the wrong one. I'm actually meant to be looking at this one. So, new discovery call. So-and-so from test just booked a call with us. Test campaign here. 11:30 questionnaire answers in thread. And then we have... No, it's this one. So this is the one that we actually made. So it's actually come out like this. And it says that the start time is 2024-0809 T1030Z. So this one we actually want to format. But we have the questionnaire answers in here. This is the website. These are the current biggest bottlenecks. This is the questions that we answered. And these are the questions that we answered. So let's go back in and have a look at the message here, because we actually want to format the date now. So the start time came out looking funky. So if we click format date in camel case, open brackets, and then we want to take the date that we're looking for, add a semicolon, and then we want the format, and the format is going to be something nice and easy to read. So we'll put DDDMMM YYYY, and then we'll put HHMM, and then we want the time zone to be our time zone, so we'll just put Europe/London. So the start time should now be formatted, and it will say July 30th or something like that, whatever it would be. Or it would just be, you know, an easier way of looking at the time, very similar to what we already have inside of here, where it says 09 August 2024 11:30. It's not going to look like that. It should look a little bit better than that. So let's get, in fact, let me just put DD here, and then it'll just look like that. So if we do that and then we try again, we should have the right format for this message. But even before we look at that, let's look and see if we got the leads in. So if I go back in and refresh the page, we have Shenjum in here, and it's come up twice because we did it. I'm actually just going to turn off the other automation, but yeah, just whilst I'm doing this. But it's come up here like this, and then this is the one that we put in, which came in second, and it's got the first name, last name, company name, email, phone number. And then if we go into the opportunities, we'll see under the call booked side, we have the opportunity right here, 1K monthly, just like that. So this is all looking good. It's just the change to that formatted message that we want to do. We now want to differentiate between an outbound and an inbound message. And this pertains to this output. Now, for this output, there isn't a super easy and clean way of doing it by looking at if the data is empty or not. So we can just go by file size, because what ends up happening is this is just the file size in bytes of the data that comes through. So if the file size in bytes is like 5 or 10 or 3 or 2, then you know that nothing really came through. But in this sense, because there's so much data, the number is around 600 and something. So we can set this filter to a below and above to determine if it's outbound or inbound based on the file size that we have. So if we go here under outbound, we can set the condition to file size, and we can get a numerical value here. The numerical value is greater than or equal to 10. And I'll copy the data, and then I'll go under inbound and say that the file size is less than or equal to 10. And then we click OK here, and then that will give us this. So now we know that these are inbound. We also know that these are all going to stay basically the same. The only difference is where the information comes from that we put inside of these items is going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to just straight up copy 1, 2, 3, and 4 by holding Shift and clicking, Control C, and then Control V, and then I'm going to stick it right here. Delete the filter that came from the outbound part. So I'll just remove these and then delete the empty module here. And now I have an inbound selection. So if we're going to the created message, it will say new discovery call, name from data website, data company name, just booked the call with us. The source is the data lead campaign data / campaign name. This is wrong because this is the inbound side. So we just want to take this from Calendly now. So the name, we can keep it name, bracket email, just book the call with us, just to differentiate between the two. And this is if we do not want to add website and company name. And then the source can be the UTM source, which will be blank if the UTM parameters aren't being used. So if you don't use UTM parameters, then you can just leave it as nothing. Like we could just delete this in its entirety. But if we want to know where it came from, we can at least click source here. And this is also something that we can take into the CRM as well. And then the start time will stay the same. Question and answers are in the thread. And then new disco call booked. And we can determine from either or if, via name or via source, whether this is an outbound one or this is a inbound one. So we could even just put in here, new outbound call booked, new outbound disco call. And then we can put new inbound disco call. And that will be what will differentiate each one from our system. So we now have the inbound system set up and the outbound system set up for any leads that is not found in the CRM. We then need to create the lead, and we need to create the lead with information that does not come from Smart Lead. So company name is gone. And website will be the website that comes from the question inside of this part of the Calendly. So if I go to questions and answers, what I can do is a quick map function. So what I want is within this array, give me the answer of the website when the question equals what is your website. So if I type map, open bracket, question and answers, colon, semicolon, give me the answer, the raw value, which is answer, semicolon, where the question, which is, I believe, just normal question equals what is your website, because I believe that is word for word exactly what it is. So then it will give me the website, the name, the email, website, and then the phone number. So let's actually move the website, let's move it between name and email just to make it cleaner. So we now have first name, last name, company name, email, and text reminder. So we can have that there, or we actually can't put it inside of this URL bucket. I'll put it in here a couple of times and it's just not worked. So we can have it here, or we can have it up here. We'll leave it up here for now and then just continue with the rest of this. So we have the name again, office, email, mobile, phone number. So that's come from the Calendly step. So these can stay the same. And then we can create the opportunity. And this opportunity is the exact same because it's the lead ID from the search tab. It's lead ID from, not the search tab, from the create a lead tab, which was just there. And then we can take the lead ID and then keep everything here the exact same. So if I click on OK, we now have this completed. So if I run this one more time and then create another random quick chat with completely different people, we will see the individual items coming in. So the one thing that may happen is that the website may not read. So if I put something stupid like that, and then I'll put test@hotmail.co.uk, and the website can be, close.ai, or you know what, we'll just put bettercontact.rocks, and then leave that there, click on yes, send the messages to a random phone number, and then we schedule the event. We'll find that the lead goes through here and it goes all the way through to the inbound side, creates a message, creates the lead, and creates opportunity. So the opportunity, and I should have turned it off, I didn't turn it off again. It's going to create two opportunities now. So we have this information here. Oh, and we can see that there is an issue here with the way that the mapping had just been done. So we can actually just delete that. And then we can also see from the leads, the same information has come through. So I'm guessing that it's also a little bit of a mess down here too. So-and-so just booked a call with us. Source, the start time looks good, apart from the fact that it says 11:08, which is a little bit different. And then we have, what is your website? Please describe your bottlenecks. Do you have the means to pay? So we'll change this in a second. And then we'll also change the inputs that go into close. So let's just do a little bit of troubleshooting whilst we're here. All right, so when creating the leads, we don't need to put in any mapping functions. It doesn't get read by close inside of here. And when creating the message, we don't want to put lowercase. We don't want to put uppercase m's here. We just want to put lowercase m's. And we also don't want to use data email. We want to use the Calendly email in and of itself. So if we go back into module 1 and then put email down, that will give us the completed version of the inbound flow. Cool. So a lot of the stuff that we've already created is actually going to get duplicated. So if the lead is found in the CRM and they came from outbound or they came from inbound, they're going to get the same message. So we just need to take all of this information and copy it directly over here. So we can take this right here and we'll delete the not found in CRM filter just so that we're not duplicating ourselves here. Delete the empty module, and now whenever a lead is found in the inside of the CRM, it will send the same new discovery call so and so was just found from X, Y, and Z. Now the outbound part stays the same because it will still go through this individual stage, even though these are hollow. Because whenever somebody is inside of Smart Lead and also inside of Close and they book a call, it will go down this path, fill these up, and then you'll get the same messages that we would need anyways. So these actually stay exactly the same. We're going to leave it as the same. And then what we're going to do is, instead of creating a lead, we searched for a lead and the lead was present, which means we need to update a lead. And we update a lead under the update a lead close CRM part there. The lead ID that we want to use in order to update is the one that we found during the search leads tab. And then we want to update a couple of other things. We want to make sure that the status ID is set to potential. And if we want, we can add a description, which is, the campaign and where they came from. But I'm just going to leave this one blank. These should all have contacts and addresses already linked to them. So I'm just going to leave them blank as well. And then if we click on the update a lead part and duplicate it here, we will see that the exact same information goes in without anything being broken. So that's all fine and good. Now what we want to do is basically the same thing that we've done here, where we did a search and then we split the two functions. We want to do that on opportunities, because if they're active inside of in the lead functions, they may be active inside of the opportunities. So if we click here and then we go back into a close CRM module and then we click search opportunities, all we want to do is search for opportunities where the lead ID is the same ID as the individual that we've just been playing around with. So we want to go into, if we collapse all of them, go back into number 5 and go for the lead ID here. We can leave all of these. We can leave all of these alone. We don't need a query. We just want to limit it to 1. We can then run it, and if somebody is found, we will put them through the update module, and if someone is not found, we'll put them through the create module. So we'll go here again, and then we'll say not found on the top, and we know that they're not found if the total number of bundles is equal to 0, and they are found if the total number of bundles is not equal to 0. We can use text here. We actually don't need to worry about the fact that it's not numeric. So we can use not equal to 0 text. So if they are found, I've got this completely wrong. If they, no, that's right. Not equal to 0 equals found, equal to 0 equals not found. So now we want to create an opportunity. And then we want to update an opportunity on this leg here. So update an opportunity goes on the found leg, and on the not found leg, we get create an opportunity. And creating the opportunity is as simple as linking the same lead ID that we've been playing around with, which came from module 5, right back at the start when we were searching for the lead. And then the status ID is going to be the status of call booked. Confidence, we can just keep to any kind of template number. Value, we can keep to any kind of template number. Same thing with the value period, and then we can leave it at that. And then for update an opportunity, we want to put the same information in. where the opportunity ID is the opportunity ID that we found when we were searching for the opportunities in the latest module. So if we go to module number 24, which is this one here, the one right before the router, we can find opportunity ID, which is the one that we're trying to update. And then if we go into the status ID, we uncheck the map, and then we go and click on call booked, add a random confidence, add a random value based on what you would need, or what your entry or your trial offer is, or whatever it is that you're looking to sell first, that this whole CRM is built off of. You'd put the value in the value period for that, and then you click OK. And this whole part is now done. So now we have it such that whenever a new event is booked, the lead will be found or not found. The smart lead will be found or not found. And if the smart lead is found, it will be outbound, either here or here. If it's not found, it will be inbound, either here or here. And if the individual lead is found inside of close, it will be not. It will go down the found lead in CRM. And if it's not found, then it will go down the not found lead in CRM path. So that is live call completely done. The second one that we want to do is reschedule. And reschedule happens whenever someone clicks on the reschedule link inside of the meeting. So all we need to do there is click create a message, because the way that the Calendly webhook works is that there are only ever cancellations or creations. So a reschedule is a cancellation followed by a creation within like a couple of split seconds. So whenever there is a reschedule, we just need to alert them that the call that's about to come in, that they're about to be alerted about, is actually a call that was a reschedule. So it's going to say the exact same thing as the live call flows that we've seen, but we want to basically add a prerequisite which says the individual lead that you are about to hear from again has just rescheduled. Look below for further details. So that's the entirety of this entire message. And what that looks like is selecting from the list, finding the private channel that we've been working from the whole time, which is called calls. And then we want to type in our text, and our text is going to be something that looks like this. First name, or sorry, full name, just rescheduled a discovery call with us. New meeting details will appear below this message. And that's it. We then want to add advanced settings, and all we want to do is link names, because we actually don't need to link names. We're not actually linking anything, but we'll leave it on anyways. And then the icon emoji will be something that we can determine. So let's look for rescheduled. We'll just put a watch down. So we'll go in :watch : that is our icon emoji. The username will be rescheduled call, scheduled call incoming. And then we click OK. And now we have, wait, what value is empty? Rescheduled call, click OK. Okay, saved now properly. And now we're good, except we're not, because we don't have the filters up for each of the individual paths that we took down the router when we were initially making this automation. So we want live call, we want cancelled, and we want rescheduled. And the way that it looks is a little bit weird. So we're actually going to create two filters, one here and the three up here. So we can work from the bottom up and understand exactly what this will look like. So if I set up the filter on the rescheduled part, the condition for this is whenever a status is set to cancelled, we want to have it come down here. So status here equal to cancelled, and it's cancelled with the American spelling, and rescheduled equal to true. So if I type in rescheduled equal to, and then I go into the general functions, click on the keyword and add true, this is what happens. This is the path that everything will take if rescheduled equals true. So I click OK, that is done. Cancellation is basically the exact same, except the rescheduled is equal to false, or is not equal to true. So we can go in here under cancellation, and under the condition, we want to put, where's it gone? So we have status equal to cancelled, and rescheduled is not equal to true. So that's cancellation done. And then for live call, this is as simple as status equals active. And if you want to add, extra security or whatever it may be, you could add an and which says rescheduled is also not true. But we don't need that, considering the fact that it is cancelled. It's either cancelled, which is those two, or it's scheduled. So if the scheduled event status is equal to active, then it's going to go up this path anyways. And because this is the discovery call booked flow, we want to show that this is disco calls only. So if we put disco call question mark and make the condition name of the actual event. So we click down here, scheduled event name is equal to quick chat. In fact, not equal to, we want contains, because this is the lead generation and inbound and outbound calendar. So it's not always going to contain quick chat. It's not always going to equal quick chat. It might equal quick chat lead generation. So we can leave it at that. This now will only trigger whenever a disco call has occurred. And it's disco calls of all kinds. So if we click on save, that will give us all of that. And we now have 3 things built out. All of the filters will go into the right places. We now need to determine host cancellation versus invitee cancellation. So what I'm going to do is let me take these, drag them out. And then I'm going to go into Calendly, and then I'm going to delete one of the calls that have just come through. All right, so I'm just going to run this once, and then I'm going to go back into my Calendly, and I'm going to pick this call here. And I'm going to click cancel, and I'm going to click yes, cancel, and it will just go straight down the cancellation phase, and it will give me this information. And what I am looking for is the reasons for cancellation. So what I'm going to do is go into the filter under condition. I'm going to look for cancellation, and then I'm going to go for canceller type. So if the canceller type is equal to host, then this is a host cancellation. Host cancellations are meetings that are cancelled by the individual that is signed into Calendly. So if it's a one-on-one sales conversation with me and some random person, that random person, if they cancel on their side, their browsers, their cookies, their cache, whatever it may be, will pick up that is the other person and not the host. If the host is logged in to the device that the cancellation occurs on, then it will be read as a host cancellation. So in this sense, we want host cancellation to have the condition canceller type is equal to host. And then under here, we want invitee cancellation. And this is where the canceller type is not equal to host. So now we can delineate between the two. The host cancellation, remember, is going to be no further action needed. And the invitee cancellation is going to be, okay, let's get this guy back in, re-engage with this individual. So the first step for that is Slack, and that means we need to create a message, and we're going to do the exact same thing, get the call bot out, select the call channel, which is channel type private channel called calls, and then get our text out. And what we want to say is something as simple as, because this is for the host cancellation side, we just want to say name event has been cancelled. This was done on our side, so no further actions needed. And then under advanced settings, we want to actually tag whoever's here. So open arrow bracket, exclamation mark here, and then close that. And then we'll actually put the bold within those brackets. So bold, name event has been cancelled. This was done on our side, so no further actions needed. We'll make that in italics. And then we will go down to reply, and we'll go to use markdown. Yes, we don't want to unfurl any content. We do want to link names. And the icon emoji can be some kind of stop sign. So let's get something like a wave. So we'll just take the wave hand and click over here, and then we'll change the name to cancelled. Sweet. So host cancellation, that's the message there. Invitee cancellation, that's going to be a different type of message, and that is going to be, hey, so and so was cancelled. They cancelled it on their end. Please follow up. So if we just copy over the message and then we click inside, we can keep the exact same thing. Name, event has been cancelled. Get the email up, and the email is just going to be the email from the event. And then we'll click on, and we'll basically say something along the lines of, channel, please follow up and get them back in the circle. So I'll just write that message out real quick. Cool. So name, email, cancel the discovery call. Please reach back out and connect. So one thing that you could also do here is you could find the lead inside of close first, and whoever the owner of the lead is the person who's responsible for reaching back out again. But if you alert the whole channel, then whoever is involved, you can have a conversation about the individual lead inside of the Slack channel where all communications are happening. But either way, it's all going to work the same way it's meant to work. So it will be the same thing, except this one we'll call invitee cancellation. So those are our steps for host cancellation and invitee cancellation. Those are the two notifications. We now need to search for the leads and then do what we said that we were going to do inside of the leads, where for the individual that was a host cancellation, they're cancelled here as well as in the opportunities. And for the lead that is an invitee cancellation, they're still potential as a lead status, but they're cancelled in the pipeline. So what we're going to do then is create a search leads close CRM endpoint, and this is going to be the exact same type of search leads as this, which means we're going to copy over the exact same filtering query that we took before, and we're going to take the limit to be 1. So we go take it from there and we put it straight back in here. Filtering query is this. Click on OK. Now that we have that, we know that the next set of steps are going to be for host cancellation. If they exist, then we'll change the lead status, and if they exist in the pipeline, then we'll also change the pipeline status. So the next part here is not HTTP, it's close again, and it is to update the lead. So we update the lead, and the lead is now the lead ID from step number 31. So search leads, lead ID, step number 31. We'll take the status ID and change it to cancelled. And then that's the only step that we're doing there. And then we'll go into close CRM again, and then we'll search for opportunities based on the lead ID and nothing else. So we're going to map the lead IDs, and we're going to find from step number 31 the lead ID that was there. And then we're going to limit the opportunities to 1. And then we're going to go back in, and then we're going to update an opportunity. And we're going to make it linear, because if the lead is not found, then the host who cancelled the host cancellation will not reflect inside of close, and the individual person is not actually someone who needs to be reached out to again. So we don't need to create that lead. For the invitee cancellation, it's a completely different story, which is the reason why we're doing it in a completely linear fashion in this moment. But in the next moment, when we make the invitee cancellation, it won't be. So the opportunity ID is going to be from module number 33. And opportunity ID here is the opportunity ID, which if I just type in opportunity up here from close CRM search opportunities module 33, that is the opportunity there. And then I'm not going to map the status ID. I'm going to move it to cancelled and then leave it there, and then click OK. And then I'm going to add a couple of filters to the search functions. So this will only progress if the total number of bundles is not equal to 0. And we want that for step 31 as well as for step 33. So if the total number of bundles is not equal to 0, it means it is found. So we're going to add found as a filter between search opportunities and update an opportunity. And we're going to add found as a label for between search leads and update a lead. So with this, we now have host cancellation completely done. So if I zoom out a little bit, you can see that whenever a disco call is booked, it goes through these different methods. And whenever a lead is booked and they cancel, we then take them down the host cancellation route. And I've just realized as well that for the inbound flow on the initial live call route, we actually haven't duplicated over the search opportunities and if found update, if not found create for the inbound process. So we're actually going to copy all 4 of those, paste them, and stick them next to update a lead under the lead found in CRM inbound route. So we're going to take this information here and we're going to update it so that the search opportunities tab says what it needs to say and it goes to the right individual. So we have a lead here because the person was found inside of the CRM. So we're going to stick with the same lead ID. We're going to stick with the same queries. And then we're going to check that the opportunities that get created are actually the ones that need to be created using the correct lead IDs. Yep, everything's good there. And same thing with updating an opportunity. We just want to keep the opportunity ID that we found from this step here, which is the exact same as the one above, but with the moved over modules. So we actually have everything that we need. So that was one small, what would have been a hiccup, which has now been solved just by copying it over. So the last step on this disco call booked flow is the invitee cancellation step. Now, what we want to do here is we want to start it again with another search leads. So if we search the leads, we'll then be able to find, using the exact same parameters, the lead that it belongs to the invitee. And from here, we actually need to create this person because the invitee cancelled it. So if it didn't exist for whatever reason inside of the CRM, we want to make it appear so that we can have it inside of our smart lists. So what we need to do now is go from search leads into another router. And in this router, if I auto align one more time, is going to return us, if not found, total number of bundles on step number 39 is equal to 0. And then we want to take the same total number of bundles on step 39, which is the search leads function, to not equal 0 when the individual is found. So now we have search leads and then another split, and you can kind of see what the general pattern is. Whenever something is found, or whenever you're doing a search, you need a yes and a no. Search, yes and no. Search, yes and no, which is the reason why we have 3 routers here, because we have a yes, no, and then we have a yes, no, and yes, no, which is the same thing. And then we have another yes, no here for this other search. So it's just the same thing that we always need. That is a model that is ubiquitous across basically every single make scenario that you would ever make, that you would ever go for if you have a search function as step 1. Certain things are going to happen first. If in a certain situation where a search occurs, certain things are going to happen in all of the other situations, which is when the search returns nothing, basically. So we have the leads here. We then need to, if not found, we need to find them. And if they are found, we need to update them. Okay, so if they've not been found, we actually want to fetch the email from Smart Lead if it exists in Smart Lead. So if we take this fetch email by address and stick it all the way over here, so we just copy and pasted it one more time, we can delete the empty module beforehand. If they're not found, we can get the right information from this individual from Smart Lead if for whatever reason they cancelled. Now, this should almost never happen, because if anybody is cancelled, it's because they were created. So we're going to fetch the email just so that if the individual was not found or was deleted or omitted by an automation's previous run, or by one of the other closers and setters or other people inside of the CRM who just deleted this lead, we'll add it back in again so that they can appear inside of the smart lists that we need. So we have the same endpoints with the same API and with the same API keys and the same everything like that. So we have to now show that if this individual file size is, less than 10, then we'll just go and create it from the information that we have here. And if the file size is bigger than 10, then we can create it from using the previous steps that we'd made in the first place. So if we open up a router and then we add the file size, the same file size thing that we have under outbound and inbound, Condition 6, file size greater than or equal to 10, less than or equal to 10. We're going to take the same thing and push it through this step here, which is step 41. So if we say that, in fact, what we're going to do is we're actually going to take a little trick, because we haven't pushed any information through this, but we still want to be able to use it. So I'm going to take this, copy it, open up a new tab, and stick it up here. Now you can see that there's like a nomenclature for it, right? So it's double curly brackets, number 6 dot, and then camel case for the name of the parameter, and then close brackets. This is for condition number 6. This is actually called condition number 41, but it's the exact same endpoint. So we can actually make this, if we change this number from 6 to 41, copy it, go back into the conditions, and then paste it. It will give us this, and we can still, and basically we can put this in because we know that it's going to appear again. And we know that number 41 is a module that is actually in use. So we can actually keep things, we can actually build things without needing to test them if we know what the output is, because we've already built it. So this is number 41. And for outbound, file size is going to be greater than or equal to 10. And for inbound, file size, if I paste it again, is going to be less than or equal to 10. And that is going to give us the ability to now delineate between an outbound or an inbound lead, which is an invitee cancellation. So we'll click here and then go back into close. And then from here, we will create a lead if they don't already exist, which is basically for both of these. And then we'll create the opportunity. So I'll go in here and create the lead. And this lead is going to be from the information that would have been taken from here. So we actually do need to pull some data in from this data tab in order to get all of this information out. And for inbound, we actually don't need to do that. So let's just copy the create a lead module and stick it right here under inbound. Delete the filters that came up when we copy and pasted. Delete the empty module, and then go in, and we can use from step number 1. If I open this up, collapse all of these, and then add these back again, take the name, we'll take the email, and we'll take the text reminder number. And this will give us the name of the lead. This is the lead that we are creating. The contacts, as we made beforehand, are going to be as shown from the previous steps, which is going to be the name of the individual and the job title if we have it. We don't have it, so we're just going to leave it. The email is going to be the office email. So if I just type email down there, and then phones is going to be the mobile number, and the phone number is going to be the text reminder number. That gives us everything. And then the custom fields are done. So we now have the created lead. Let's go in and just create the opportunity and move forward along that path. All right, so we want to actually make sure that we just create the opportunity. So if we click on the create an opportunity angle, and then we click on lead ID, we map it to the lead ID that we've just created inside of step number 44. Let me go back in, map it again. I want the lead ID, and the lead ID is from number 44 here. The status ID is cancelled because this individual is not from the call booked side, it's from the cancellation side. And then we put in the values and the value periods. We can actually leave these. Confidence we'll put at like 10. And the value we can put as what was there beforehand, which was just the 1K a month that we're using as the example. But again, placeholder, unless these have been outlined in the SOPs as far as what the individual thing is that you're selling, or this is for the demo calls and you can actually manually go into the CRM and change the values and change what is there because you have a clearer idea of what you would sell. These numbers are basically just placeholders until you have that. So we can just leave that there. Click on OK. Now we have an opportunity for create a lead on the outbound side. What we can actually do is circumvent the need to test this again by going in and taking the information from a step under the outbound create opportunity section. So if we go in fact, it's the outbound, where is it? Outbound update a lead or outbound create a lead, I think it is. So it's outbound create a lead. So if we go up here, stick on the create a lead, we can see from here, number 6, data company name. So the same way that we copied file size up here to replace the previous number 6 with number 41, we're going to do the exact same thing here. So let's go in, create the lead, put this name in, and instead of the number 6, we're going to copy this, delete it from the new tab, paste it in here, and then change it with the number 41. So now the data company name is what's going to pop up when we paste it back in here. So now we have the name, first name, last name, company name, email, and the text reminder number. And with all of this, we have this lead almost done. The status ID for this person is still potential, which is actually something that we need to change down here as well. And we need to add the contacts to the individual name as well. So if we go back in the same way that we did it beforehand, the name is over here. The email is the email that came from the initial step. And the phone is the text reminder number. So the phone number goes in here, and that type is office or mobile, sorry. And then the email is office, and then we have the name of the individual contact. So great, we have a contact attached with all of the relevant information from the Calendly. We also have a company name, a name, email, text reminder number. We are almost there. Let's get the opportunity created. We can just copy it and paste it from the previous step. And then from here, all we would need to do is just change the IDs. So the opportunity that we're creating is not number 44, it's number 43. So I'm going to go in here, delete that, create number 43 lead ID. All of these numbers stay the same. We'll click on OK, and then we can save this. And that is the not found part of this done. Now for the leads that are invitee cancellations, who have been searched and have been found, we then need to update them, make sure that they're still potentials. So let me go back into step number 44, make sure that it's also potential under the status IDs. So status ID here, click on potential, click OK. So now, whenever anybody goes down this path, they're moved in the CRM to opportunity status equals cancelled, but their lead status is set to a potential. But this isn't the case for the host cancellations. So that's kind of the reasons why we're delineating between the two. We delete it, they're trash. If they delete it, they can still be saved. So we have that information there. Then we want to fetch the email we want to make sure that all of this is looking good. So we're outbound, inbound, that's all good. The not found section is also good. Tripping all over my words now, it's late at night. And then we have the found section here. So we want to basically just go into close and then update the lead. So now we're updating the lead. We can go into module number 39, which is search leads, get the lead ID. We can leave the name and the description alone, as well as the URL. We want to make sure that the status ID is potential, and we can leave the contacts and etc. alone, because if the lead was already found, then the contact's already there. So now we just want to check up on the opportunities. And again, this is another search for opportunities situation. So we can actually copy what we've done in a previous step here. So this here, search for opportunities, if found, create, if not found, create, if found, update. We can take all 4 of these steps, press copy, and then go down here and back down to the found part. We can go update a lead. And then after the lead has been updated, we can align. And after alignment, we can then search for an opportunity. If they're found, we'll update, and if they're not found, we'll create. So the lead ID needs to change to the lead ID from step number either 47 or 39. Step 39 is the search lead. Step 47 is update a lead. It's going to be the same lead either way, but I like being a bit more coherent here. So I'll use lead ID number 39 because that's the one that was found. And then the limit is the 1. And if there isn't an opportunity, then we will create it. But if there is, But if there is an opportunity, then it's found. So just going to change these IDs, and then this will be the final part of this automation. So all of these have been searched for. We now have this in. The ID is not call booked. The status ID is cancelled. So we'll go in here, change that to cancelled, leave everything else alone, go back into the update on opportunity, and change that from a status ID from call booked to cancelled. Make sure that they're both singing from the same hymn sheet, and then we keep it moving. And now we have the entirety of the automation built out. So what's going to happen now is for every single person that books a disco call, if they cancel, let's start from the top. Person books a call, we'll search for them. If you can't find them in Smart Lead or inside of Close, they'll go up here and they'll go down the inbound path. If they're found in Smart Lead but not found in Close, they'll go up here and then up the outbound path. If they're found in Close but they're not found in Smart Lead, then they'll go down the lead found path, down to inbound and go through here. If they are found in both Close and in Smart Lead, then they'll go down the lead found in CRM and outbound path. And an opportunity and a lead will be either updated or created in both situations. Great. Now, let's say one of them reschedules. If they reschedule, then this message will get sent, which says so-and-so just rescheduled the discovery call. The new meeting details will appear above the message, and it will find them one more time. Now, the individual will most likely always be someone in the CRM, so they'll go up here and down here to somewhere. If they were inbound, they would go down here. If they were outbound, they go up here. And then the cancellations. So let's say one of these individuals decides, you know what, I don't actually want to talk to the salesperson. I'm pretty good. I'm just going to jump off the call. They'll go down here. And that, because that was an invitee cancellation, we'll be told, or the team will be told to reach back out again. We'll search for the lead, mark them. If they're found, it will update the lead, make them potential on the lead status ID, but cancelled under the opportunity ID. And if they aren't found, it will create them, whether they're outbound or inbound. And once created, it will create the opportunity. And in this case, it will be the individual lead is potential, but the opportunity is cancelled. And finally, if the hosts cancelled the call because they were, who knows what reason as to why, they were unqualified from the jump off, they lied about something, who knows, they'll get the message, event has been cancelled, done on our side, so no further action needed. And if the lead is present, it will get updated. And if the opportunity is found, it will get updated. And what will end up happening is the lead will be set to cancelled and the opportunity will be set to cancelled. That basically covers every single contingency that could ever occur with this basic call booking format. The extra arms are there only because we've used multiple searches, which is the reason why it looks like this gigantic web. So this is the discovery call booked flow. So I can save that now. And what we can do is run a couple of final tests before creating the demo call booked version of this, which is basically the exact same thing as this, but just truncated and with a couple of opportunities changed. Okay, so I've got two people here who are either in the CRM already or not in the CRM already, and who are either inbound or outbound. So this person here is outbound because it's using an email that was used in a test campaign once upon a time and is also in the CRM. And this is someone who's not in a CRM who is also inbound. So let's click on go and let's run through the whole gamut. We're going to check to see how things look when they're booked, when they're rescheduled, and when they're cancelled. So let's go number one. Let's go for Harold Kumar. Let's go. Schedule event. Sweet. So close CRM, fetch the email address. They came in, they're inbound, like I said, not found in the CRM. The message has been created. Let's check the calls channel. Harold Kumar, Harold Hines just booked a call with us. Source, start time, questionnaire answers in thread. Questionnaire answers, hines.com. Yep, exactly what we said. And then if I refresh the page, we should see potential Mr. Harold hit over here. And then we should see inside of the opportunities, Mr. Harold inside of call booked. Perfect. Now let's run the exact same thing for lead number 2, Jack Davids. Let's go. So Jack David's disco call found in the CRM out inbound, and all of these things have happened. Okay, so we searched by. Okay, so it must be. I guess this guy isn't in here. All right, cool. So I probably would have done like one of the other emails in there or whatever. So inbound message created. What did the message say? Jack David's just booked a call with us. Source, start time. Here the websites. Here's all the information. Great. Now let's go into the opportunities. He's right here. And if we go into the leads, he should also be right here too. Great. Potential. Now that's done. Let's reschedule. Reschedule shouldn't change anything inside of the opportunities or inside of the pipeline. It should it shouldn't change anything inside the leads or inside of the opportunities. We should just get a second message. So I'm going to go and I'm going to reschedule inside of my calendar. So let me refresh the page. And we have these two guys here. In fact, we have three. We were working with these two, so we're going to only deal with these two. So that's Jack David's. I'm going to click run again. And then I'm going to go back in here, reschedule. And I'm going to reschedule for Monday, 11 a.m. Reason for change, blank. And then update the event and see what happens. What should happen is it will cancel. And then if I back out, it should be running a separate record because it's off, it's not running. So let me turn it on again and process the data. And what it will do is it will take it all the way down here. As you can see, it's going down, inbound, found again, updating the lead, searching the opportunity, searching. All right, so rescheduled call incoming. Jack David just rescheduled the discovery call. New meeting details will appear below. And here is his information. And that's given us the same exact things that he had. So that is reschedule, completely done. Now let's try cancellation. So we're going to run this and we're going to cancel on my end. So we're going to take Mr. Jack Davids one more time. We're going to click cancel. Yes, cancel. And then we're going to go down here and see what happens. So it was a host cancellation because it happened on my end. The message that came through was Jack Davids' event's been cancelled. This was done on our side, so no further actions needed. And we should see inside of the pipeline that Jack Davids is cancelled, and he should also be a cancelled person inside of here, just like that. So then let's go in and cancel for the was it Harold Kumar, whatever the name I used for the final one. And then we'll go down the invitee cancellation route, and then it should say that the individual was found, and it should change the opportunity and change the status, and therefore add the lead status ID changes as well. Cool. So I am going to cancel on the invitees end. So this is a different Chrome browser window. So if I click on cancel here, it should go through the invitee side because it's going to take me to another side completely. It's realizing that I'm not logged in as the individual. So it's taking me now to cancellations, and it's just giving me this box here. The reason for canceling is test. So we're going to go in here. I'm going to click run once, and then we're going to go in here and cancel the event and see what happens. And what we can see is the cancellation went down the invitee cancellation route, which is giving us the message, Harold Kumar cancelled their discovery call. Please reach back out and reconnect. And it should have changed to cancelled inside of the opportunities right over here. And we should also have a lead under potential. So you can see here cancelled and here potential. So that is how everything is meant to move, and everything is moving as according to plan. So yeah, that is how the discovery call flow is created. Okay, so discovery call booked is complete. We now need to do the same thing, but for demo calls. And with demo calls, the benefit of demo calls is that we actually don't need to put a lot of the stuff that's already in here, simply because with demo call booked, the next step in the process, if I go into the CRM, the next step in the pipeline is not demo call booked. It's a manual opportunity pipeline stage called demo call showed. So we don't actually need to move things from call booked into demo call booked because we don't need it, and especially not necessary for the way that reporting is lined out. So we're basically going to take call booked and demo call showed and when we make the demo call version of the exact same scenario, we'll then just remove all of the opportunity stage stuff inside of close. So first thing we'll do is go into discovery call book test and duplicate. So if I just quickly go back out again, click on options, click on clone, and then change it to demo call booked test. And then all you need to do is create another Calendly webhook. I messed this up beforehand, so I'm just going to click demo call because this one already exists, but it's the exact same process as what was needed for the first side. You would just go in, you would change it to demo call test, and then you would change the connection to whatever the connection is, tick both the events, add your organization URI, and then add your person URI, and click save, and then you'll be good to go. If you click save there, it will create this. I've already created it, so we're just going to go in. We're not going to keep the states, we're just going to save. So now we have demo call booked. The first thing we need to do is to remove the filter right at the start. It's not disco call, it's demo call, which means that the filter for the scheduled event name shouldn't contain quick chat. It needs to contain demo, because demo call is the name of our event. If we go into Calendly, we can check from here, demo call is the name of this event. So if we go back in here, we now have it so that all of the calls that come through now are only the demo call, only the booked calls from demo calls. So we now have all of this. We now need to chop this down. So where do we start? We start by removing the smart lead blocks. So fetch email by email address is something that we don't need because we are so far removed from the outbound process that we don't need the information here. Everything should already live inside of the CRM. So we're just going to straight up delete this, and we're going to get a massive set of warnings, which says the module is referenced in step 9, step 11, and step 18, but we're going to delete them anyways because we get to know exactly what is what. So we don't need that, which also means we don't need this outbound versus inbound step either. So what we can do is we can go in and we can delete these filters. We can delete one of these entire chains, and 2, we can delete all of the CRM steps because we're not moving anything inside the CRM. So I'm going to delete outbound and inbound. So I'm going to delete outbound. I'm going to remove the filter on inbound for both of them. And then I'm going to realign to see what we have. So we have a search function, and then we have the router, which says is the leaders found in the CRM or if the leader's not found in the CRM. So we're going to delete the other routers which were being used beforehand. In fact, before we delete them, let's just copy the total number of bundles part of the filter so that when we go in, we can say that we can basically replace the lost item from the router. So we want to add found in the CRM back, and the condition is not equal to 0 as far as total number of bundles from step 5. So close CRM, search leads, router. If they're found in the CRM, it will just go straight into the Slack message. So let's do the same thing here. We want to go straight into the Slack message. So we want to add the router back. I'm going to say if they're not found in the CRM and the total number of bundles is equal to 0. So now that is complete. We have, if they're found in the CRM, it will send a message. If they're not found in the CRM, it will send this message. And really and truly, they should never go down this route, but we want to make sure that things are going to stay the same. That those things are going to stay, concrete. Everything with regards to opportunities can be deleted because we're not actually dealing with opportunities. So we're going to get rid of these 4 here, which is search opportunities, and then the router that goes to create them if it's not found or to update if it is found. So we can delete those. We can delete the create opportunities part from number 16 right here. And that will give us a truncated version of what we had before. And now all we need to do is remove the updating and creating of the lead because nothing has changed. All we want is a message saying that they've booked their demo call with us. And if they aren't found, we want a message that says that they've booked their demo call with us. Here was their questions from the Calendly invite, just so that you remember. So this found in CRM we're going to delete this one, and then we're going to keep inside of the next part, this part of the chain. This is not a new discovery call. This is a demo call. So we're going to change this, tamper it down a little bit, and say @channel inside a bold name just booked a demo call with us. Start time is the same format of the start time that we had before. And since they were found in the CRM, we can get the HTML URL of the CRM and have it so that people get forwarded straight to the individual lead so that they can watch the notes from what was there before. So I will say click and then arrow bracket, HTML URL, and then line here, and then put that back inside of asterisks and say click here for more details about the contact. And then if we scroll all the way down into the show advanced settings, instead of hourglass, instead of username being new inbound disco call, we're going to call it demo call booked. And we can change the icon to something that's a little bit more sinister, we'll say. Sinister is the wrong word. I want a controller. So let's go back in and let's put this into the particular slot. And let's change it from hourglass to video game. So now we have demo call booked. Great. So that's going to be the same for the not found in CRM section. We're going to change the icon emoji to video game, and we're going to change the username to demo call booked. And we're going to have it so that instead of it says new discovery call, so just book the call with us. This is the source. We're going to say questionnaire answers are in thread, but we want to take most of the message from here and stick it in here instead. So channel name email just book the demo call with us. Start time is this in formatted to DD triple M quadruple Y Europe/London. Questionnaire answers are in thread, and from there, we keep the same questionnaire answers that we had, and the thread message is still the create message from step number 13. So that's the live demo call aspect completely sorted. Now let's go down into rescheduled, because they didn't reschedule their discovery call, they rescheduled their demo call. So we'll just change that real quick, and we'll keep it as watch, and we'll keep rescheduled call incoming, and then we'll say new meeting details will appear below the message. Those two are all good to go. Now we need to deal with the final bit, which is the cancellation part of this automation. Now, if it's a host cancellation, as always, the steps are all going to be the same. We probably just want to change the message so it says so-and-so demo call has been cancelled. Done on our side, so we don't need to do anything further. And all of these can also stay the same. For the invitee cancellation side, we want to make sure that it doesn't say cancel their discovery call. We want to make sure it says cancel their demo call. And then we go down here and then we click on invitee cancellation. And then instead of wave, let's give it something different. Let's give it a warning sign. So we can go from wave to a warning and then call it invitee cancellation. And this is for anybody who has cancelled their demo call. So we have all the information that we need there. And then from here, we then tell the channel to please reach back out and reconnect. Cool. Invitee cancellation is right there. We now need to search for the leads, and we don't need to do anything with Smart Lead. And the first thing we're doing is, again, deleting fetch by email address, and it's going to affect module number 43. So we know that this is the part that we don't need. And since we're deleting the outbound/inbound part, we can just gap the entire thing. So now we don't need that. We're going to also remove the filter on the inbound aspect because we're not using file size as a filter anymore. And then we can delete the router and relink it again. And then, as we did beforehand, get the total number of bundles and make the other branch. So where it said found, we now need not found. And we want to turn the total number of bundles to be equal to 0. And then if we realign that, we'll get most of this out of the way. And then the final thing we want to do is we don't need to update this lead. We just delete it, and we then have it so that we search the opportunities once we found the leads. And then once the opportunity has been found, if it has not been found, we create it under the new call booked. And if it has been found, we can pretty much just leave it. So let's go into create an opportunity under not found. It's referencing the lead ID that was found under the search leads tab, which is correct. The status ID is actually, it is cancelled. Yep. Because this is the invitee cancellation side. And if it needs to be updated, then we're going to take the same opportunity ID that was found under the searched opportunities part and move it to cancelled. So now we have it under cancelled. We have everything here absolutely sorted. And in fact, at this point, we should always have a lead that is found inside of the CRM. So instead of getting the invitee cancellation to create a lead and then create an opportunity, what you can do instead is to just have a Slack message that says, hey, this lead wasn't found. Please look for this individual and mark them as cancelled. So you could do that, or you can just create the lead if it's not found and then create the opportunity and stick it in cancelled if needs be. Now, CRM cleanup is one hot topic, which can be done partly through the API and through making stuff as well. Because if you get into closed CRM, you can do things like merge two leads together, and you can delete leads and opportunities and stuff like that. For the sakes of this automation, we can leave it here. It just depends on how many cancellations you get, and it also depends on the cadence upon which you decide to continue with, how things move, especially with the sales team and the people that are working with you. So that is the entire thing. And we now have demo call booked test. And this was built off of the exact same thing that was working before, which was discovery call book test. So we know that these are all going to work, because the only things that changed were the contents of the Slack messages. This is entirely the same. This is basically entirely the same, and all the search functions are ubiquitous because they are the same ones we've been using since the start. So that wraps up this video. That wraps up the demo call booked flow as well as the discovery call booked flow. And one thing that you also need to remember is the fact that these are small automations which are part of a larger process. So we have this down here, which is the discovery call booked flow, which we just made. And then we have this here, which was the demo call booked flow. This alone accounts for all of these steps, all of them. Now, there are obviously more, as we can see down here, and I'll probably end up making videos on them in the time with, over time. But I'm going to put the blueprints for this one inside of the description of this video, so you'll be able to find it, somewhere. This is one of the many sales and fulfillment automations that get made by me and people on my team in order to help things move along very, very smoothly. So ton of productized businesses that we've worked with we've been able to help basically get a lot of these put in place, which just increases throughput. So if you want this one, go and grab it. It will be somewhere below. And yeah, we'll see you soon.